We're back. Hello. Good evening.
Hello. Welcome.
Dr. Matt, what's up, man?
Doing all right. How are you?
I am going to turn my volume down. That's how I am. I'm doing well. Let's see. Why is this? Man, I feel like a geezer right now. There we go. I'm doing pretty well. I got a lovely bike ride in again today with my wife.
Nice.
So we've been doing that on Thursday. She has the day off, so we've been trying to do that more.
Mm-hmm.
It's been wonderful. I've realized that as my world has changed career-wise a little bit, I'm sitting in a chair a lot, and it's not good for me.
You have to get one of the standing desks.
I keep going back and forth with that whole thing. And I'm like, no, because if I have the standing desk, then I think I'll be staying at the computer longer. Because I'm like, well, I'm moving around. I don't need to remove myself. And I think part of like the uncomfortableness is like about every 30 to 40 minutes for me. And then I force myself to get up, stretch, walk around, get water, do whatever. Go out on my deck. I got a wonderful office here, and I go on the deck and take in some fresh air, although it hasn't been as fresh. We were just talking about this before we jumped on. But I think it forces me to kind of do that. And I think although the standing desk would be nice because then I can, literally just stand and work.
Yeah.
I think I'd be tied in too much to
well, they do have
moving.
They do have those adjustable ones where you can raise
it. For sure. That's the one
it.
I've been looking at, raise and lower it. And I mean, I'm still really considering getting one. I think in the long run will be better. I definitely need to get a different office chair because I can feel this one is like it's doing this now. So it's just, we're just bunching everything up here at this point. And as much riding as I do, I'm already getting, although it's not road riding, it's mountain biking, but I still, between that and the Peloton, I'm getting pretty wrecked. And I'm not getting my massage therapy like I used to. So all of it's compounded, shall we say. And although it's a good day and my taint hurts.
I don't need to hear that.
So I'm feeling a little wiggly, but otherwise it's been a good day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys ride?
Today we just rode out to Erie Bike Park and did a lap there and then came back. A little bit over an hour ride total, I think. So
that's good.
It was good. Yeah, it was warmer out there than I thought. I mean, I'm trying to look at the 77 right now. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
I didn't think it was supposed to be that warm today. Anyway, it was. I got sweaty, but it's good, man. It's good. How was your trip?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Nothing too exciting. It was just a show with. It was a conference that had just training on different things, and I was there with Quicksilver helping him out. So
nice.
Yeah, good to get away for a couple of days. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, how's California?
It wasn't crazy. It was in Anaheim, Orange County. So I think things are a little more, I don't know, restricted in other parts of California, other parts of LA. But it was, California is such a beautiful place in
it's
general.
A beautiful state.
So
I love California.
I love going there.
Yeah.
Hopefully who knows? I don't know. I'm not optimistic about California right now, but
I don't think many people are.
But it's still a beautiful place for sure.
Did you slide over for a little Disneyland fun at all?
I did not. I was right next door.
Anaheim's right there.
Yeah, when it was at the convention center, which is literally across the street.
Oh, okay.
It's like a mile walk over if I wanted to, but I didn't have any time. And I don't know. I should have. That would have been
saving all your coin for AMC.
Exactly. Yeah, I know.
Did you pick up any more? The last few days?
I bought a few more today. So,
attaboy.
Yeah, might as well if you keeping it. They keep keeping it down a little bit.
Keep buying the float, so there's nothing left but retail. Yeah, and then then it's just literally going to be a stalemate because if we hold all of it, there's nothing left to short.
Right.
Well, I guess that's how we got here in the first place.
They can make it up.
Just keep making synthetic. Yeah. I mean, I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about what a synthetic stock and synthetic options are and how that's even a possibility. And there's a whole world out there of people that are like, that's not possible. I'm like, no, that's exactly how these hedge funds make money.
Right.
And I was like, you look old enough to be remembering 2008, right? I mean, you know what that is. And we started talking about CDOs, and then I'm like, but then here's what gets better about that. Like we got to the point where they kind of understood what a CDO was. I'm like, take it one step further. There's synthetic CDOs, and they're just like, what? And I'm like, oh, this is exact. Listen, don't tell me it doesn't exist.
It's such a Ponzi scheme half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving something around to do something else. That's
the creation of wealth is in quotations. You know what I mean? It's like, it's sad but true. And let's see, I'm gonna close this, but it is what it is. So we're gonna play that game.
Yeah, might as well play it if they're gonna keep I don't know. I'm just amazed sometimes at what's out there. I'm not even an expert. I know enough to be a little bit dangerous, but that's
Yep. Well, for everybody out there, just keep waiting. I mean, you've gotten to this point.
Yeah, hang on to it. Don't let it.
You'll be okay. Trust me.
Yeah, for sure.
Trust me.
Yep. I agree. The more I know, the more I learn, the more I'm like, huh, this is interesting.
Yeah. You've been watching the Evergrande stuff?
I have a little bit. I have.
There's our chart today.
Yeah.
Here's our pretend move. This is in the same realm. Like, I mean, we're talking about a whole different scenario overall, but this is exactly what this is exactly the same kind of scenario.
Right.
So
God.
Yeah.
That's Evergrande. That's Evergrande right there.
It's Evergrande.
Huh.
This is right. This is before our market open right here.
Right.
So normally when you get a wedge like this at this point, this is the point of volatility, I like to call it. But this is all fictitious, right? This is so. I mean, they're not the same as our market. I mean, you got to understand, it's not a free capital market. You know, we're talking about I should be careful with my words. Socialist environment financially, right? Where there's this aura of equilibrium for everyone, right? Which is why this whole thing is so much more. It's goofier to watch,
right?
And what's going to come of it is even more interesting. But people. The whole question was, did they make their payment? Are they going to make their next one? It's just like, do you understand? It's not over in a couple of days. And the whole basis behind this is, bailout, not bailout. How are you going to handle a company that has 70-ish% of the real estate market in one country?
Yeah. Well, that and the stuff I was seeing about the bailout was really only going to be to a very, very small amount of entities.
It's local servicers of debt and local bondholders. Yeet. What up, buddy? Yes. There's no foreign investors are getting paid. And this is where I was talking the other day, but the whole basis behind that is understanding, one, we're talking about debt they're carrying, we'll talk about mainstream media that they talk about with, $313 billion of debt that's not getting paid at the moment. That's on two different bonds. They have way more debt to service.
Right.
It's not just that.
Right.
It's not just that, but that's the two bonds they're talking about are local bonds. We're not talking about foreign lending.
Right.
They're not servicing any of that at all, and they probably will not. And China's not going to bail those people out. They're not going to hand money back to U.S. investors.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
No. And understanding who those people are indirectly in our market, is where you're going to start having that fallout, and people keep saying, well, it doesn't really affect us, and here's why. And I'm like, that's if you take just those two notes and we're talking about nothing else.
Right.
Yes, and they're going to backdoor this service and not talk about how they're not going to publicly say they bailed them out, right? But at the same time, they're going to take over payments, and they're going to give people their money back, especially because of who's holding those bonds.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the rest of it, see you later.
Yeah.
So that's the part I'm concerned with, and it's not really a concern,
right,
as much as just an understanding of what that means here for us in so many different areas. And it's just, that's the financial contagion part that I'm kind of watching.
Right. Yeah, that whole contagion thing's interesting, isn't it? Just how it, feeds on itself, and whether or not it really directly is going to impact as much as people think. It's not really the point. It's what people perceive.
There's a lot of perception there, and there's a lot of fear-based movement. Now they played this game right here, just so they didn't have a catastrophic move right away. And that's not just China that's played this move. Trust me, there's foreign involvement in this. And it's just, they're holding on as long as they can too. Of course, there's a lot of things, and this whole thing has become a giant distraction overall. And that's the bigger piece. That's part of the financial contagion, is the distraction piece that comes with it. So that's what our friend Lou was talking about, being just a big just a big orchestrated distraction. Nothing to do with anything. In a way, it has nothing to do with anything at all. And in another way, it's like understanding that piece of like, hey, these guys aren't getting paid back. Now, does that mean these guys are going to fail? No, but the illiquidity that's going to come of it is what I want to watch and pay attention to. Sex lose value of our home and assets because I'm legit to support yourself. But yeah, you're talking about our debt, Yee. I mean, what's funny about this whole debt ceiling, real quick, is that I love when people say this has never happened, or it will never happen. They will never fail. They won't. They never do this. Blah 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 blah. And Dr. Matt and I have been here on this earth long enough that we can say, yes, we were young in 2008, but we were fully aware of what the hell was going on. I mean, I had friends that worked for several of those banks. AIG was one of them. Bank of America was another. They were there in New York, sending me pictures of their office, and understanding that fallout. Those same people said, that will never happen. Well, why do you think? Now, Burry was already making plenty of money. All those guys were already set up, and they were involved. That's why they were able to make the plays that they did, to make hundreds of millions and almost $1 billion in some areas.
Right.
However, they were the ones that were being told that will never happen. You're an idiot.
Yep.
I mean, you can't sit here and tell me, we're not talking about this is not, and I can go back to the last what's called the gold run, the last basically, Black Monday, and what happened then. That's all manipulated as well.
Right.
But that will never happen scenario as well. And people turned in their gold.
Yeah.
And ended up and watched the Federal Reserve flip. Well, not at the time, it wasn't the Federal Reserve, but trust me, it was the Federal Reserve. but the government flip it around with their buddies and say, we're going to now sell it for twice as much as you turned it in for. And now we've recovered. Don't worry about it, guys. That will never happen. They'll never do that. I mean, the same thing with like the social unrest or anything else. Not that I want to talk about that, but you can't use ever and never. You just can't do that.
That's true.
There's a first time for everything, but we've had, people are like, well, the government will never do that, or that'll never happen, or we'll never get to a point where there's this upheaval. You know how many times we've fought ourselves in civil wars, and not just civil wars, but all kinds of wars. Literally, pay attention to understand. If you understand the history of just the financial institutions of this country, remove everything else, you'd be really careful to say that will never happen.
Yeah.
Right? Those banks failed.
Absolutely.
Those banks failed. Like, no, I run a business that way. I'm done. I'm going to go I'll be on the street with my family in a cardboard box tomorrow. Those banks failed. It happened. Angel. Oh, it's Junior. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Angel?
Thanks for stopping in, man. So Angel's dad is a colleague of mine. We do a lot of work together. Very good dude. And actually, we were having a whole conversation about some subcontractor issues. And he was on his way over. We were just kind of having a little chat. But they were asking. I was like, well, I got to jump on a live stream here pretty soon. And they're both like, oh, wait, what? You got a what?
Nice.
So I texted him over. I didn't realize I hadn't even told him anything. But anyway, good to see you, buddy. Stop in. We do this every other Wednesday. It's usually interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my take on the whole thing. My tinfoil on the debt ceiling is the Democrats obviously have control of every position in Congress and in government right now. They actually don't need a Republican vote to get the debt ceiling raised. Technically, that doesn't need to happen. My tinfoil is they blame the Republicans, and I'm not. This is what's besides the partisan stuff. They blame the Republicans for not getting it passed because they didn't get Republican support, so they don't let it pass, or they don't actually get this through, right? What comes of that is literally 6 million to 10 million people lose their jobs almost overnight. We've got $15 trillion of missed payments, salary gone, mortgage debt, like all of that literally will flip overnight. Okay. There's nothing they can do about it because we've never done this before, right? They default. The U.S. defaults on their service, on their debt service. And that's the fallout from that. And the Democrats can then turn around and say, we're the good guys here. We tried and we didn't get support. So unfortunately, we're already in power. Now they move over to a more socialized environment because they have to. So effectively what happens is the dollar basically turns into doo-doo. Everything you have as far as savings, stock, investments, real estate, everything just plummets. There's no value to it. So you taking that stuff away from people. And then once that upheaval settles, you start giving a little bit back at a time. And because the people on top are already in power, now they have to stay to fix it. Right. But they're going to fix it on their agenda, not the agenda that's been put in place. Yeah. But crypto's gone, bro. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So I'm talking about once social unrest is over, it's you either flee or you're now sitting in an environment where there's nothing you can do. And they're just basically like, they start giving it back a little by little. And you feel like now become wealthy. I have a place to live again. I can go buy food again. Like, oh my God, this is way better than it was 6 months ago. That's my tinfoil on what will happen. Do I think that's actually going to happen? It's very, very long shot that they actually do that. And here's why. Think about who's really involved in Congress. Now, is there a group of people that would actually like to have that because all the power goes directly to them immediately? Yes. But most of those dudes are wealthy for a reason. They're not going to turn over their dollar.
Totally.
So who's going to vote for it? They're going to get a majority and they're going to pass it. They're going to make sure they go get the Republican buddies to do it too.
Yeah, for sure.
There's like a 2% chance that happens. However, I thought about that today with everything else. And I'm just like, there's an opportunity in,
for sure. Right.
There's an opportunity in Freudian economics, right? To then jump all over and create an emerging market in the United States. There's an opportunity for them to do that.
Little shock doctrine.
Just a little shock doctrine, right? Yeah. Disaster capitalism. Boom. Here it comes. Anyway, just overall, just stay aware, pay attention, watch what's going on. It's important to like Dr. Matt and I talk about all the time. Just learn. Just learn as much as you can. Things don't make sense at first. That's what you've got plenty of sources to reach out and do that.
Right.
All right, enough with the doom and gloom. I'm done. Let's talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about the 4 agreements, part 2. We did this a couple weeks ago. We did run through the first agreement, which is be impeccable with your word. If you didn't catch that one, go back and watch that one. let's go to the second agreement here, if I can find it, which is don't take anything personally. Dr. Matt, what is your interpretation of this?
Yeah, well,
hey, Dr. Matt, piss off. You suck.
You suck. Right. Yeah, I think it's a place to come from when it's a place to really realize that what most people do is not because of you, has nothing to do with you. It's their own projection of what their own experience and reality is. And so they just are going to do their thing, and it's not personal to you. It's not because of you. And we take it personally a lot of times, and that creates a space of significant, like, I just think upset. Like, it's just a way of driving kind of your, kind of the victim aspect of existing. Sometimes.
And I think there's a lot of that right now going on. And I think a lot of that is fueled by, it's fueled by a lot of things that we can get our hands on right now. Right. I mean, you tell people all the time, just turn off the damn news. And it's you're right. It's a victim role. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, when you take, if you just step back for a second and just give people a little bit of space and just sort of realize that everything that they're doing and reacting to and moving through is just because their own stuff, like their own, whatever's going on. And here's the thing, you don't know what that is. You have no idea. And yet, so the other thing that comes to mind for me around this is having a little bit of compassion around it, right? Like, it's a little bit of more understanding, and not necessarily, I'm not saying that you let people like bully you and push you around, but it's more of just a space of, this isn't about me. This is their own, shit that they're dealing with. And yeah, it's awful that they're behaving this way, but it's not about me. It's not it's nothing to do with me. The majority, God, what a great lesson to learn early in life. Like, I wish I would have learned that more earlier. Like, how little people actually care about you. Like, they really don't.
And it's not even about them not caring. They just don't pay attention.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, it's like
they're not even watching you.
So little do they care. They don't even notice you most of the time. And so all of this energy we often put into being right or showing certain things or doing certain things. Why? It's really because of I don't know. Somehow we take everything that goes on around us as about us and personally. And when you don't take it personally, it actually just frees you up because.
Oh, so much more.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really great place to stand and just
you know what's funny is that and Dr. Matt and I wouldn't call myself an avid golfer anymore, but we used to play a lot of golf. I'm trying to do more, but there's so many life lessons in playing golf.
Totally.
There's like you could almost take every piece of golf and relate it back to that's life. This is how you your character is defined when you're playing, the way you see yourself, the way you act with others, like everything about that game. It's so funny because my dad made this point a long time ago about this whole thing. Like, you got to stop caring so much about what other people think because honestly, they're not even paying attention to you. You think people are paying attention. They're watching. You're worried about what you're wearing. You're worried about what you're saying, how you act. And as a younger person, in high school and even college at a certain extent, you're worried about that, right? You're worried about this social interaction with people. And half the time people don't even realize you're there. Like they'll walk right past you and you're just like, oh my God, she didn't even see me. No, she didn't see you at all, bro, but she never sees you.
Right.
It's like, it's good and bad. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because they're not, you tripped and fell, but nobody actually saw you do it. So you're all bent out of shape for a week about it. And you're like, you could mention something like, wait, when was this? Dude, I didn't. was in my own head. Like I
had no idea that that happened.
Wait, you go to my school? Oh, cool.
Right.
You know, like it doesn't. It's. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully it's not that bad, but it's like it's like that. And on the golf course,
Mm-hmm.
everyone, especially when you're playing with people you know, or it doesn't matter, but you know, people aren't paying attention to you playing. They're all about their own game,
totally.
or dicking. Like as my brother, he's worried about what flower he's gonna pick on the next hole. And what snack he's gonna have. Like it doesn't. He's not watching anybody. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and
just
even
come
if
out and hang out with me.
Yeah, and even if he's watching and you like, it's
why does he care?
Like, and what difference does it make? Like, if you had a bad shot, like,
and hey man, he throws a ball, I hit another one. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, maybe they laugh because that was something, but you know, it doesn't matter really at the end of the day. Yeah,
no, and we're so worried about how we're gonna hit this next shot, and then people, you know, you like I've done this with you. I'm like, yeah, but then on 15, you're like, I don't remember that hole. You don't remember when I just blasted out the tee shot at like 100 yards right, and then I had to like chip out of the woods. And dude, I don't.
Yeah,
what did you shoot? I don't care. Like I don't remember. I don't remember last hole.
I know. I know. That's true.
I don't remember what I had for lunch.
I do struggle with that, and I don't know if that's good or bad with golf, but yeah, no, it's
you weren't like it doesn't like you don't care.
I don't.
Let's just go have fun. Like the whole point. And so that's like this whole relationship with life is the same thing as like you're teeing that ball up to hit it, and you're so nervous. Are you nervous because you want to play well, or are you nervous about what people are going to think of you if you don't hit it straight down the middle of the fairway 350 yards?
Exactly.
Doesn't matter. They don't care.
Yeah.
And it's not like they don't like you. They just don't give a shit about your golf game.
No. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I realized, I mean, it also kind of brings to mind, like, I think you could look at this in a lot of ways, like even in like business, right? Like, I remember I had a realization in my practice a while back where you know, because my practice, like that's
philo.
In my practice, like it's a significant part of my life. I'm focused on that. I'm immersed in that. Like my day and my, you know, my week is all built around that. Right. I had this realization that majority of all of my patients, almost, maybe not all of them, but almost all of them, their life does not revolve around coming to see me.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's a part of their life. Maybe more so for some than others.
Right.
But it's not about me. And when I realized that, it just freed me up in my practice a little bit, not to worry so much. Because, you know, like say somebody, I see them for a little bit and then I don't see them again for a while. You know, if I took that personally, that would mean, oh, I did something bad. Maybe I didn't help them. Maybe they didn't like this interaction. And all of that could be the case. I don't know. But most of the time, it's just because something came up, the life happened, and, you know, going to see me was not in their world at that moment. And maybe it'll be in their world in 6 months or 2 years, or I don't know, but it's not at the moment. And so when I didn't take it personally, when I stopped taking it personally, it just allowed me not to be so concerned about that flow of people and like trying to manage it and worry about doing something wrong or making it, you know, saying the right thing all the time. And it's like, hey, you know, it's not, of course I'm going to do my best and I'm going to, you know, I want to succeed in it, but it's not about me. People have their lives, and yeah, like you said, life happens. And so,
oh yeah, every day.
So yeah, it was a really freeing kind of place with my practice, just to be like, yeah, you know, it's life. My life might revolve around my practice, but their life, you know, with their kids and their family and their jobs and their whatever, you know, it's not about me.
No. So, and that's the part that I think that's a really difficult thing for people to really wrap their head around. Is because you can take it personally in the way that's like, well, why don't they care?
Yeah.
It's not that they don't care. It's just that it's not going to be the end all for their everyday life, or it's not going to be the majority of what their life is about. People have to be about them first. And in order to be accepting and learn things and and absorb other people and learn, you have to be about yourself first. And that's what's hard for people is like, this whole, knows this whole woke culture of I'm doing it for you and I'm doing it. But why aren't you doing it for you? Take care of you, because if you can't take care of you, I don't want you helping me. If you're a shit show,
totally,
how are you going to help me out? That doesn't like,
totally.
And that's okay to be, it's okay to say that. Like, it's really okay to say they don't care right now.
Yeah.
But you should care. Pay attention to you. Yeah. And people are like, well, that's not what society's about. And that's not what helping your, no, it actually is. Because I don't need a bunch of shit shows running around, dumpster fires trying to help me. I got it. Yo, if you're a worse mess than me, you take care of yourself, man.
Yeah.
I'll be here. It's okay. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really is also, about, I think the opinions of others. Like, we put a lot of stock in what, we think everyone's opinion is of us. And I don't think, it's when you become immune to that, like when you have some separation from that, and it doesn't, because there's going to be people that don't like you. There's going to be people that don't resonate
more people that don't give a shit than do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, where is your energy focused? Is it on that? Is it on all that? Or is it on, like you said, like helping yourself, focusing on what you can do, where you can help, and just, it gives people some of that compassion, like that space to just, be that dumpster fire if they need to be. It's not about you fixing it necessarily, but I think, because we were all dumpster fires at some point.
Well, we're going to continue to be. I mean, it's just part of life. I mean, like he says, life happens, but and I'm not saying you don't need to be nice to people and help people when you can. I mean, there's always a moment in time where it's like, oh, I can help that lady get in the door. Or I can, pick up this package for somebody, or I can stop and this guy's stuck in the side of the road in the snow. Let's get him out. Like, I'm not saying and you can still be a hot mess. Like, you could be having a horrible day. And pull over to, literally pull somebody out of the snow and like, okay, I helped that person. I got to get on with my day, but I'm not saying you don't do those things. Be aware of what's going on, but it's not bad to say, I've got to be about me first. And when someone walks past me and, I tell my kids this all the time. It's like, you don't know what's going on in somebody's head when they act the way that they do to you. I got flipped off the other day by a lady that was driving. And she was driving like a bat out of Hades. Like, it was just, she almost slammed into me as I'm coming out of the neighborhood. She's ripping through, and I hate this because there's so many kids that live here, and she's whipping around the corner to head out. She's clearly in her own head, doesn't give a shit. I'm in a hurry. I'm important kind of thing. And so I stop. I'm like, whoa, I'm glad I pay attention. And she whips by me and pulls up to the light, and the light's red, but she's clearly not paying attention. I can see she's on the phone, and she's creeping out like the light's green, and she's getting ready to like just run the light. And I can tell it's not that she wants to run the light. It's just that she's not even paying attention. The light's red. Right. And I look across the street, and there's a mom with a stroller and a little kid, and she's about to come across the street, and there's a car coming the other way. And I'm like, holy shit. So I lay on the horn. Like, I got to get her attention. Somebody has to hear me to like look up at this point before some disaster happens. And she hits the brakes and her car goes, that whole rock. And she stops real quick. And the mom across the street sees me, and she kind of like has her hand up, like, and I was like hoping she'd just wait. And then the car coming the other way actually stopped, even though they had the green light. And then she does the whole like wave real fast, like, oh my God, just go ahead. And I'm like, well, he does have the green light. I mean, you're the one running like Indy 500, right? So she does that, and then right after that, the light turns green. But right as the light turns green, because I laid on it for like a good 10 seconds to make sure that she stopped, everybody was paying attention, and then she looks in the rearview mirror and she flips me off, and I'm like, whoa. So then my old Shane goes, oh, I don't think so. So she takes off, and I'm going the same way. And I'm going to pull up next to her. I'm going to give her my 2 cents. I'm going to pull up right next to her. I'm going to give her my 2 cents. As I get closer, I realize why. Yeah. What good will this do at this point? Nothing good is going to happen. I'm going to get more angry. I'm going to get angry. I was actually in a good mood. I'm going to get angry. She's not going to listen. Right. She's now going to be embarrassed, and she's pissed. She's going to scream at me. And is it going to solve a problem? Nope. It's not going to help anybody. There's no solution that comes from this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I took it personally. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever's happening with her right now is not my problem.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
You know, I don't know this lady. So I'm like, nope, I'll just pull up behind her. And I can tell she's like, I mean, she's racing the whole way. And I'm like, just let her go. Just let her go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to get over that. Like, she flips you off, but it's not about you, man.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a.
And I'm a white male. You're 100% right.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I guess there's, lots of examples on social media of all this stuff of people taking personally and having reactions to that. You know,
and I've paid attention to that. Just being on IG and doing my thing, and I'm like, I can't react in that way, because if I'm literally trying to grow something, I gotta be really careful.
Yeah.
And am I gonna take a stand on something or not right now? I don't feel like I need to. So I just gotta be careful. And when people write stuff, okay, that's your opinion. It's cool. I'm here to make opinions and post stuff. Hopefully it helps you. If it doesn't,
right.
Piss off.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, could you imagine if Instagram or Facebook, people didn't, I don't think it would exist.
No, God, no. What would be the point?
I mean, right. I mean, it's really all about people, on loudspeaker, and then, a bunch of other people take it personally. And it just doesn't really, it just leads to a lot of kind of unnecessary suffering. I feel like just needless. Like why are we even, why do we create that? If we can, and it takes some maturity, right? Like it takes maturity, I think, to see that and just to be able to be like, notice that, right? Like that, like you and that woman. It's like, I had to step back and realize, this isn't gonna go anywhere. I don't, it's not easy to do. It takes practice for a lot of people, but
no, it's not easy to do. And you've known me a long time. I mean, think about 22-year-old Shane. How would that have gone down? Right? Like, imagine that scenario.
I know.
It's not going to yeah. Like,
it could have been a car accident with her, right? Or something, or
something not good would have happened from that. And above all else, I would have been in a bad mood. So some of that comes just with getting older, and
for sure.
You get past, I think there was a certain point in my 20s where I realized my thinking has started changing. And, it came to a point where I'm like, I got to do better. I just got to do better. I'm not a kid anymore. We're now progressing through life. If you're going to perform this way, then you're going to be deemed immature, and you're going to start missing the point of what's going on.
Yeah.
So some people don't. They take some longer. I mean, I started, and listen, I'm not perfect. I had that moment. I felt myself for a second like, oh, hell no. And I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
As I'm driving, I'm going through the whole scenario of like, there's no reason. Like, I can hear myself talking to my kids and then going, don't be the hypocrite. Right. You can't do
that.
You can't do that. So just move on. And that's part of that probably has to come with, having kids too on some level. That's probably helped me get there faster, but I don't know.
Well, I think there's a brain development aspect in people, as far as having access to some of the more, those sorts of brain, ability even to make those decisions and those choices, right? So
some of it's learned, a lot of it's chemical.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just growth and stuff like that. So, but isn't it interesting? I mean, as I say that, I'm just thinking about how immature and how almost like stunted so many people are in a lot of this.
Yeah.
It's like they're stuck back in, their brain development, or to be so reactive and to be take things so personally is such a. I mean, I just remember like middle school or even like pre-teens, like how, God, how hard that was. You're so worried about what people thought of you and so
all
concerned.
the time.
Yeah, it was like, and it's almost like people are stunted or
there's
back to that level.
There's a lot of regression happening. And I think I've seen it very, very, very rapidly go that direction in the last 19, 20 months. I mean, I've just not just with kids.
Right.
And I feel like in some ways the kids, I mean, people are like, oh, the kids will be fine. Well, in some ways they're dealing with it way better than we are with all of this nonsense, which is a good thing. But I mean, I'm seeing some behavioral stuff with some of these kids and on all ages that they've regressed a little bit. I think the high school kids, maybe a little bit less, but certainly adults are just, I mean, they're out of control. People are, and Katrina was saying this the other day, you know, people are just angry. They're really angry right now. And there's, you know, we know why, but no one's dealing with it very well. No. And the maturity level has gone backwards and they're still angry. And you're having a really, really like an environmental shift happening. And it's just like you're saying, there's like people just snap at certain things and they're angry for no reason. And
I mean, it's pretty interesting when you look at the brain and how it develops and how different aspects of the brain function and work for us. I mean, it's more than just our brain, right? But but I do think it's interesting to know, like, there's an aspect of our brain that's really survival based. Like, it's not really about anything other than, you know, breathing and surviving. And it's driven in this space of like stress. Like when you're stressed out, that part of the brain is very activated.
Yeah.
Because it's also a very reactive part of your brain. That's not, but here's the thing. It's not a logical part of your brain. It's not a higher thought process part of your brain. And you don't really have access to that higher thought process and logical part when you're in that stress state. So here we have a world that everyone is on alert, that's in some level of stress, whether it's health, whether it's financial, whether it's, I don't know, whatever it is, right? And we just drive that, you know, even more, you know, the last 18 months. You know, it's really no wonder that people are sort of in this very acting so personal, you know, taking everything so personally, because they're in this like fight or flight state all the time.
Right.
And they have no way of actually stepping back like you did with this woman and being like, this isn't going to go anywhere. I need to just pull back. You know, they're just, it's like, instead of like taking a gun and like the whole thing of like ready, aim, shoot, it's like shoot and then like ready, aim. It's like this, like, you know, just this
fire, ready, aim.
Yeah, exactly. And you just have no idea what's happening. And that's just partly because of, I think, just this big stress response that we have. And, you know, we're never going to be like free of stress in our life. You know, but it's a way, how do we access the parts of our brain and the parts of our nervous system that allow us to be more in control of a lot of that. And seriously, one of the best things that people can do, and I tell this to all my patients, and it sounds so simple, but it's so helpful, is actually proper breathing.
Oh, we forget to breathe all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And breathing from the belly, like a belly breath.
What up, Coop?
What's up, Coop? Yeah, taking a belly breath is this really relaxed, deep breath where you actually expand your lungs from the diaphragm. And it actually shifts how the brain functions. It actually shifts the nervous system into a more of a ability to actually take to focus better, to be able to make choices better.
There's 4 corner breathing
like that.
There's 2 level breathing. Like, there's 4 corner breathing where you breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds, let out for 4 seconds, and then breathe in and you just go
do
round and around.
I've heard that box breathing, 4 corners breathing. Yeah.
Box breathing is a good one. And then the 2 level breathing is for exercise is a good thing. So this is one thing you can do while you're working out too, is especially at the beginning of a workout, it's a way to anything that you're holding on to that you aren't aware of gets rid of it. It kind of loosens your body up and prepares it to actually be able to perform better. And it's something I learned playing high school sports, but you take it in as you're kind of warming up. You take one breath and you hold it, and then instead of letting it out, you take another breath and you hold it, and then you blow it out. And you do that several times as you're starting to warm up, and it's amazing. All of a sudden, your chest feels open, your stomach feels looser. You're like, you can feel muscle tension in your neck and shoulders kind of drop, and that's one, it keeps you from getting injured, and two, it literally starts letting things out of your body at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, a simple one you can actually just practice, right? We could do one like right now. It's pretty easy. Wherever you're sitting, you just put your hands on your belly button and you just take a breath. I like doing it through my nose, and you just feel your belly slowly rise. You're not pushing it out with your muscles. You're just letting it rise. So and then you just relax and you breathe out. And a lot of people actually breathe way up here in their chest. And that is, so that would look kind of like, I'll see if I can show it. I mean, that looks kind of like that. And when you do that, your belly actually goes in, and instead of your belly going out. And so when you breathe that, it's a backwards way of breathing. It's actually a very stressful way of breathing.
Right.
And if anybody's been a singer or an actor or a trumpet player, or, you know, even an athlete, like you're talking about, Shane, like you learn different techniques around breathing because you have to, like, you can't project, like those singers that can hold those notes forever and ever. Like the only way they can do that is if they activate their lungs through the diaphragm.
Yeah, it's way lower,
and that's hard to learn to do. But so yeah, if you breathe from your chest, practice. You know, just take 5 minutes and just do a few of those belly breaths, and do that a couple times a day. And then as you get better at it, you start to notice like, oh wow, like I'm not breathing again. I'm holding my breath, or I'm sitting at a stoplight. Do a couple of those breaths, and the more you practice it, the better. The easier it is, because when you're in a really stressful situation, you probably won't remember to breathe. Like it's not really part of your way it's not really the way your nervous system works to do that. But the more you practice it, the more your baseline is that way. And then you're actually able to access that better. And then like, if something comes up, like some idiot woman, nice. Yeah, like some idiot woman in the car in front of you, doing stuff, then you actually have access to take that breath and like actually, I think, God, I've had patients that they're come off high blood pressure medication just because they started breathing better.
Right. It's it's funny how amazing. It's like, it's supposed to be innate, right? It's supposed to be an innate thing. Like it's a movement, just like our heart just beats without us having to tell it to beat. It's just it's a muscle but we're supposed to be able in our brain just to be able to breathe. And obviously we do on some level, otherwise, the inevitable happens early. But it's funny how you get in all these different situations. And like when I'm, teaching people how to ski or mountain bike, and then, when you're nervous, you're holding your body in certain positions, and the breathing gets tighter and more shallow, which only creates more tension in your body, which only creates more stress. And the whole point of stress is you're just trying to manage it. Like Dr. Matt said, it's not going away. It's all about how do you manage it, and you can reduce some of it for sure. There's unforced errors from stress for sure, but learning how, like some of these techniques, when you feel yourself getting in that situation, you're right, like get into that, get into a practice where you can get back to a better breathing, and all of a sudden, like your brain works better, more oxygen, more clear.
Well, you literally activate different parts of your brain when you do that. Like the part of the brain is called the prefrontal cortex, is actually your kind of part of the brain that's about choice and logical decisions and things like that. And you don't have access to that when you're in a really stressful state, which kind of makes sense, right? Like if you think about it, like if you're walking down a trail hiking and there's all of a sudden a bear pops out, you just react. Your body just wants to react. You don't want to have to be like, what should I do here? Like, that's like not really a safe thing to do. So your body has this reaction. But most of us walking around aren't in that level of danger. So we don't need to, we can have access to that part of our brain, that prefrontal cortex.
Mm-hmm.
And I, when you're doing those types of breathing, this isn't like like when you're just hanging out, not, working or whatever, you're going to do more shallow breathing. Like that's just normal. But what I'm talking about is a conscious breath. I'm talking about when you're actually connected to the fact of like, oh, I'm breathing now, and you're aware of it and you pay attention to that. And that's really what I'm talking about. So, take a few minutes, every day.
That's not the only reason, but it actually has a bigger effect than you think. Something else on the breathing from the diaphragm that I learned was just to learn how to get that feeling. Cause you're right. It's kind of difficult and we're not used to doing it that way because for whatever reason, our bodies don't learn how to breathe correctly. And we don't practice it right. But you lay on the floor and you get some, lighter weights, but lay on your back with your knees up and take, it depends on, what weight you're comfortable with. But for me, I'll use like a 15-pound weight and just put it on my chest. And you lay on your back and you're looking up at the ceiling and your knees can kind of be laying against each other. So you relax your stomach, right? If they're up, you're still holding your abs are engaged. But if you lean them in, like kind of just awkwardly lean your knees against each other. So they're holding each other up. Right. Mm-hmm. And then you put those weights right on your chest, heavy enough where it actually forces you to it feels kind of tight. Mm-hmm. And it forces you to then engage your diaphragm and pull the air in from there. Because if you lay there long enough, it's kind of like, it's hard to breathe. Well, go lower, and then you'll start getting that air and you can actually do it.
I've never tried that. I bet. Yeah. I mean, that would take some practice. I mean, if you've never done it before, I would just practice just doing without weights, just lay on it,
Put your hand on your stomach to start and feel it, feel it up and down. And
it's significant. It's a huge difference in people. And, and it's funny. If you watch babies breathe, if you watch dogs breathe, if you watch these kind of, that's how they breathe. A baby's stomach will go up and down while they're sleeping. Mm-hmm. When you're sleeping, you're probably doing that anyway. You just don't know it.
Hopefully.
Unless you have sleep apnea or something. I mean, it's simple stuff, right? Like sometimes I think we want things to be more complicated. And I have found over the years that, starting with broad, simple things make a big difference. And then you can get more complicated as you need to. But so...
No, not that much. Just enough to make it kind of tight.
And if you've never done it, you probably don't need the weights for a while.
Start
you get used to it.
Start just putting your hand on your stomach and feel your stomach.
Just start engaging that, and
it's a great practice. So another time to do it is when, Coop and you used to do this before you make a trade that's stressing you out.
Oh yeah.
Do a breathing technique.
Take it and take a few of those belly breaths.
Do those belly breaths as you're focusing in on what are you trying to do. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? When you hit that send button, it's not stressful at all. Because again, money out, money back. And if you're smart like you guys, then it'll be fine. But take a couple breaths because sometimes you're just like, "Whoo, buddy, here we go." Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, what's interesting about breathing too? That it only it's something you can be conscious of, but it's sort of like it just automatically happens. Like and it's not, it's only really happens in like the present moment. Like, so that's the other thing about breathing that I really like is it brings people into a present moment. They're out of this, like, what did happen yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow. Or 5 minutes from now or whatever, right? It brings you into your body in a moment where you can, at least for that time of breathing, you are present. And I think that's super helpful because a lot of times we just walk around and live in what happened or what might happen. And that's, not really a very healthy way to go about things, and
well, I mean, it's definitely helped me because once I was made aware of the fact that my, a lot of that stress was from breathing. And I start feeling it in my body physically. Like I'll get tension, I'll get stomach cramps, I'll get, whatever. And I mean, one of our good friends, Amy, kind of brought that up a while back, and she's like, how is your breathing?
Yeah.
I know you're dealing with a lot of stress, but how is your breathing? And I'm just like, I haven't even thought about that. I don't, and so we started talking about, do you have breathing techniques? Oh yeah, I do. And I would tell her a few, and she's like, well, try this one too. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know about that kind of thing.
Right.
And it's been key the last year and a half for sure.
I'll bet. Yeah.
And it's bringing me back
for
to
me
like,
too.
Yeah, catching yourself like, whoop, hold on, let's breathe for a minute, get some real oxygen.
Right.
Hang on a second, because it slows you down too. It's not just about like filling your body with more O2, but it slows you down. You have to physically like stop and think about it, and it certainly helps.
You become more in the present moment, and aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did we get on because we're not taking things personally. Just stop and breathe. Just breathe.
Yeah.
I mean, who used to tell me that? It was like, breathe. Somebody, God, it wasn't you. Who said that all the time?
It wasn't me.
Like, hey, man, hey, take a breath. It's okay. It's okay. Don't do it. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. Well, it's important to practice when it doesn't count. Because when you're in those states, it's just, you kind of don't have access to that sometimes. So you're not going to, and it does help to have somebody around you who can be like, hey man, take a breath. But yeah, I mean, I think if you're, you can do it before you go to sleep, at bedtime, if you want, you could, look, people do, some of the most successful people in the world meditate. Well, what's really meditation? What's behind meditation? There's all kinds of aspects to it, but at the simplistic way of it, it's breathing. It's connecting to your breathing. And there's all kinds of things, mantras and all kinds of stuff you can do and focus on this and that and allow thoughts. And, okay, that's all part of it too, I guess. But really kind of when I just think about it simply, it's like, okay, I'm connected to breathing a little bit more. And people talk about drastic results in their life just from 5 or 10 minutes of meditation a day.
Oh yeah. It's a huge difference. Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to sit and, chant, or do some, I don't know. Look at all the different religions, all the different thought process. all have some aspect of slowing down, breathing, being present. Some call it prayer, some call it meditation, some call it, I don't know what, it doesn't matter what they call it, but and I do think when you can get to that point, you're present, you start to become more aware of when you're taking things personally, when you, what's yours and what's not, and how almost all of it's not yours. It's just everyone else's, bullshit that they're stuck in. And, and then you can make better choices, make healthier choices, and you're happier.
Oh yeah. It's just,
look, let's just call it what it is, right? Like, it's just easier. Let at least that's been my experience. That's been my experience.
Yeah. Amor fati.
Absolutely. That's don't take it personally. Yeah. Don't take anything personally.
You've heard the term "let it ride." Well, it's important. It's important. You just don't know what's going on with somebody else, man. You just don't, and it'll be okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's. We got to understand that if we're gonna you're gonna hear all kinds of stupid shit, moving forward, and it's stupider than it has been, and you just have to you'll feel yourself ramping up and getting angry and getting frustrated and feeling like, oh my God, how are we going to get, it's going to be all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eventually.
Absolutely.
Eventually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And taking those moments and not taking it personally is going to certainly help that.
It's going to serve you so well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to keep reminding each other of it. I think that's what's nice about having community and people to bounce this stuff off of, because there's always moments.
Personal. It's not personal. What is that group? It's not personal support group.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because there's moments when we all need that, right? Like, we're not always,
We're not perfect.
We're not
and
doing,
it's, yeah,
not
I'm going to
always
catch
doing
myself
it.
at some point, probably in the next 24 hours, at least at the moment, the brink. I'm on the brink of it. And God bless my wife, because she certainly is like, Mr. Hypocrite. I'm like, oh, you're right. Okay. I'm sorry. But yeah, you got to have that support group too. We're going to screw up. But just recognizing it and realizing you can get through that faster. Even if you have a reaction, you can get through it. It doesn't dwell. It doesn't linger.
Right.
And that's the thing to take away from that, is just like, you're going to take something personally at some point. I mean, I could be really personal with Dr. Matt right now, and I probably could get in there at some point and push his button. I mean, I could probably get there.
I think we know each other well enough to do that. Yeah.
I mean, it would take quite a while, because he's going to know that I'm screwing with him. But at some point, I might be able to touch something. He's like, whoa, gotcha. It's okay. I won't do that, but it's,
God, man, could you, if the 19-year-old Matt and 19-year-old Shane, could you imagine, like,
it was so much easier
having this conversation? I think we existed in taking things personally at that time.
About every 5 minutes.
About everything, and somehow survived it. For those that we were college roommates in a prison cell size space, and
literally
a dorm. Yeah, no joke, a tiny space. And
I could run into the room and do a front flip onto my bed.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm a gymnast. I'm just saying that's how small the room was.
Tiny. Yeah. Somehow we survived, and without killing each other. And there were moments, but anyway, that's half a life ago at this point.
Yeah. So. But at least we can put it out there to everybody else. Like, this is, take these. If I had the 4 agreements at that point, you'd be like, bro, you need to read this.
I know, right? God, dude, I know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't.
Would have been helpful.
It would have been. Yes. So many reasons why.
Yeah. Oh, well.
No, that's it. We're here. It's all good. We survived. Yeah. We survived. Right on, man. Well, this has been cool. We've gotten through 2 of the agreements. We'll do number 3
in a couple
next
weeks.
time.
Yeah.
Which, for the preview, don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
Put up there real quick. There it is.
Yeah, and if you haven't picked that book up yet, you might grab it. It's a pretty short read.
It's not a long read. I mean,
you found it. You found it on PDF there. Yeah. So
yeah, for the most part, most of it's here.
Yeah.
But Don Miguel Ruiz is the author, and this is from the Boise Public Library. I'm just saying, there are free copies out there.
Free copies. Yeah.
But you know what? This dude's an author, and he wrote some good shit in here. So
probably nice to support him.
You can get it on Amazon, get the Audible, whatever it is. Support the guy. But it's good stuff. I mean, if you want to be a cheapskate, that's on you. I won't take it personal. But there it is.
And I don't think he will either.
He won't. He won't.
It's still nice to support him.
But dude's got to pay his bills and eat. So, I'm just saying, don't be that guy.
Totally.
Anyway.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah. So next week is Don't Make Assumptions. It's right here. Okay.
Yep.
We'll be back with that. That's not next week, but 2 weeks. And by the way, that brings up a point. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be on our staycation.
Oh, right.
Trading staycation. I feel like there's a way I could wrap that all into one, but I'm not going to try. And we're going to take a few days, Dr. Matt and I, out in the wilderness. I say wilderness. It's Winter Park.
Winter Park,
but
yeah.
We can think about streaming. Can
you get it on your laptop?
I can do it on my laptop. Yeah, we can figure it out. It's fine. We'll do it. Maybe we'll just pack up the microphones and do it. So anyway, if not, then we'll figure it out when we get back. So just watch for the reminder. Make sure you ding the bell and you'll know. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that immensely. Speaking of dropping some stress, that's going to be fun. We'll make some good money. That should be a good week to be up there because of all of the chaos we talked about. As we, talk about this. So it should be an interesting week for sure. So we'll see. Sweet. Maybe we're up there celebrating with some whiskey. So I don't know. Either way, it'll be good.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
It'll be good. It'll be good. Right on. Well, thanks for everybody stopping in. Appreciate everybody's questions and comments. Dr. Matt, always a pleasure, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Make sure you guys ding that thumb on the way out. If you're watching on the recap, do the same. If you've got comments on the recap, drop them in. I'm trying to get to them as fast as possible. Appreciate all the support. So until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. We will talk to you later, alligator.